Hello, fellow classmates. I'm Rachel Moon. I am here to fulfill our culture discussion post requirements. I thought I'd do a video just because it's a little bit more fun, and it might not be as mundane to like sit through and read. Um, excuse me. But I'm here to talk about my culture with you. And then I'm looking over some notes I took from Dr. C and how she writes that culture isn't just your ethnicity, where you're from geographically, things like that. It's all about um, your personal definitions, your morals, what you spend time doing. Who you are culturally is more complex than just where you were born. But I do still think that's a really good place to start with. I was born in Saginaw, Michigan. I was given up for adoption right at birth. My biological mom never even held me. And I was given up for adoption to Keith and Nancy Moon, who are my adoptive parents. And when I was about 4, my father moved us to Scottsdale, Arizona, where we lived until I was about 14. And that's like where my heart is. Like, I love Arizona. I feel like there's a piece of me still there. I think about it every day. Eventually, I will be moving back there, hopefully going to graduate school there within the next year or so. And then from there, we moved back to Michigan. I finished up going to high school. My high school graduation party, I met my biological parents. I met my biological mom, and she was there with my 2 sisters and my brother. And then shortly after, I met my biological dad, who I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers with as well. And my dad is straight from Mexico. It's a town that starts with a J. I'm not really sure, but his parents were the first generation from Mexico to come to Saginaw. So when I met them, my grandparents on my dad's side don't even speak English. My mom's side, they do. She's white, some sort of like German, like Polish, I think. So that was like 18, 19. I was meeting my biological parents, and that was pretty cool. And it was really cool because how Dr. C talks about culture is not just where you're born. It's much more than that. Growing up, I was always so drawn to Mexican culture. Like, I always wanted to learn how to speak Spanish, which in Arizona it was required from first grade on. Spanish was a required class. So, excuse me, I started learning how to speak Spanish. Um, and it was just the culture, like Dia de las Muertes, so the Cinco de Mayo is something that like I always like studied and was like really excited for every year. I always studied Mexican culture, but up until I was 18, I never knew that I was Mexican. I just knew I was like brown. Um, so that's something that I think is really cool when you get down to the nature versus nurture debate, because although I was taken away from my Mexican heritage right at birth, I still always felt it inside me, and it's something that I'm really proud of that to know more about now. Another part of my culture that's really important is that I've always it's had to take care of myself. So I moved out. Well, I was adopted when I was born. Then I was adopted again when I was 13. And then when I was 16, I graduated high school early. I did online classes and I went to school, and I moved out of my second adoption home. And ever since then, I've just kind of been on my own, working like at least 3 jobs. So that's a really big part of my culture, is that I've always been like a go-getter. Like, I've always been very driven. I've had to be motivated to pay my bills and survive. I've always known that I want to help people. So I've been doing whatever I've had to do up until now to get me in a position where I'll be able to help people who have been in a similar situation as me. I lost my mom when I was 13, and my father was just a businessman, so he was really busy. He was never around. So I've never had a close um, family culture, family life. I've never really known what it's like to have a mom that's around to like be there for you. I mean, she was up until I was 13, but being a young adult or young woman, getting into the career field, I've never really had anybody to help steer me and give me good advice. So that's a really big part of my culture, is that I know that no one's going to do more for me than I'll do for myself. And I'm proud of that because it's made me really strong, really resilient. I'm very street smart. I'm very book smart. When my mom was here, she was a teacher. I mean, she taught me how to read when I feel like before I was 2, I was reading. Um, so I'm thankful for that. So that's another part of my culture that I think is really important is education. Whether it's book smarts, street smarts, whatever, anything. As long as you're smart about it, you have to be good at something though. And I think that's really important, and we're kind of missing it in my generation. I feel like there's a lot of lazy people that are my age. I just turned 25, and that's not me. I work very, very hard, and I'm very, very diligent with my activities. I don't go out and party. I don't go stay up late and do like bar stuff at all. So I have a really, like, work's very, very important to me. Education's really important to me. My dog Reese is another really big part of my culture. Say hi, Reese. He's sleeping. But like, I know this is kind of cheesy, but I look at him as like my child. Like, he's literally like my kid, and I love him so much. And he's a really big part of my life and my culture because I take him everywhere, and him and I travel a lot. We travel all over the place. So his needs are just as important as my needs in a way. So he's my family. He's what I got. So I'm looking over these notes too. I would say that I'm very individualistic, as in I don't trust a lot of people, but I trust me. I trust Reese. But I'm also a collectivist too. Like, I think it's really, really important to be aware of your surroundings, your community, where we need help, who needs help, how we can provide help, how we can revitalize areas that need just like a little pick me up. So in a personal sense, I'm an individualist. However, when it's like community worldwide, I'm definitely a collectivist. Really big on teamwork, making differences, helping people that need to be helped, which is why I want to go be a naturopathic doctor, because there's a lot of people that are not getting the help that they need simply because they don't have insurance and can't afford it, when in reality there's many, many alternative treatments to a lot of the sicknesses we see today. And so I think becoming a naturopath, becoming a naturopath, I'll be able to help people who don't really know how to help themselves, who've always trusted traditional medicine, and even in some cases when it hasn't really got them very far, or even killed some of their loved ones, or, that's a little extreme, I guess, but it really happens. So I think becoming a naturopath is my destiny, because I really want to help people that don't know how to help themselves and have been unsure where to turn. So other than that, I think I covered everything I wanted to. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.